All right, everybody, let's get it going. If you weren't sure if the playoffs had started in Boston, Massachusetts, wonder no more. They are here and they are here to stay. The Celtics, somehow, some way, 133 to 128, game one, Eastern Conference Finals over the Indiana Pacers. I think we're still sorting it out. So get in this room, join us, get through your thoughts with us, and let's get this going. It's Green with Envy. Let's lock in. What up? What up? What up? Welcome in to a playoff post game edition of Green with Envy Eastern Conference Finals. Game one has just wrapped up. Celtics win 133 to 128 in overtime. This is your boy Will Weir checking in. How you doing? How you living? I'm barely hanging on. We're recording this right as the game ended. And let me welcome in my best friend, co-host, and the coach of our podcast, the one and only Greg Menakis. Greg, how you doing? How you feeling? How you living right now?
I mean, I'm stressed out. I feel a lot of relief, but I was texting my brother throughout the game, and I was like, man, I'm like barely even having fun watching this team. I just want them to win a championship so bad. Like the weight of each game and each big moment feels like it just gets heavier and heavier, and it felt like it was getting heavier and heavier in the fourth quarter, especially on the shoulders of Jason Tatum, until he finally got that and one to go and then hit the big 3-pointer. We were joking that because we were just like kind of talking shit about Tatum throughout the game, that maybe we just need to talk shit about Tatum and then he'll play better, because whenever we try to defend Jason Tatum, he doesn't step up. And then the moment we turn on him, he steps up. So Jason Tatum sucks, everybody.
Well, here's the thing. He had been great through three quarters. Through three quarters, it had been a pretty good Jason Tatum night. And then just, a whole lot went different ways. This whole game had so many sections where things went so right for the Celtics, and then it had so many sections where things couldn't have gone worse. And some of it's a complete credit to the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers coming off Game 7 on Sunday, I was very, very impressed with their overall performance tonight. And I'm like you, Greg. As we're in that fourth quarter, sub 5 minutes, I'm going through all the narratives in my head, everything that we've tried to defend, everything that we've talked about, and I'm like, man, are we just on the wrong side of every narrative that we've tried to defend with this team in crunch time with Jason Tatum? Appreciate you guys getting in the chat here. So we got one from our guy Jacob here. Appreciate the tip. I won $465 off a $5 bet. All I needed was a Tatum 3 in OT to cash my bet. What a game. Thank you, JB. Neesmith is gonna kill someone. Shaking
First
my
of all, Jacob, I love the precedent that you are setting right now. If you win money betting on the Celtics and you show up to Agreeing with Envy post game, feel free to give us some of your winnings. That's a great precedent to set.
I
Thank
love
you,
it.
Jacob. That's awesome. Congratulations on hitting that bet, man. When your team wins and you hit a bet that helps your team win, and
Yeah.
you can come support your favorite podcast, that's amazing. Shout out Jacob. Unbelievable moment right there.
But yeah, just this game, man. And like I said to the open, it kind of felt I think you might have said, I don't know if you said this to me privately or on the air, but it's felt a little bit arduous kind of just watching some of these Celtics games in the playoffs. Like it's a task, right? Like
it honestly has not been fun, man. It really hasn't been fun, because I just want to fast forward to the finals, and I feel like every other fan feels the same way. It's just like super stressful. It feels like a job. Arduous, the word that you used, absolutely. And it's just like it's tough, man. It's like running in quicksand.
But here's what I will say. Tonight, it felt like, oh my God, here we go again. But despite all the ups and downs, you get, the Pacers gave us 3 chances to tie this game. Eventually, we got it done. Jaylen Brown with the hustle play, and then Jaylen Brown in the corner. Shout out to Joe Mazzulla on the play call. We'll compose our thoughts and get a little bit more into this. We're just live reacting here to everything that we saw. But what I will say, and that I have missed from the first 2 rounds of these playoffs, is you get these tight games, and yes, it feels like from the 3 to 4 minute mark, head in my hands, thinking this is all going downhill. There's a play that will pick me back up. It's just ups and downs. Like, that's fun though. This is playoff basketball. Like, I'm kind of you're supposed to be stressed out during playoff basketball for good and fun reasons. And this game had that, even though it has everything that you're saying, Greg, where it's, man, this team just needs to be dominant, needs to get it done. The Pacers are the real deal, man. Pacers are a real team. And like, we saw it tonight. They got down 12-0. The way the Celtics started this game, it gave you the feeling, and I think the Celtics fans certainly felt it. The Celtics players a little bit, not quite as much, but it almost felt like, man, we're just about to run this team out the goddamn building. This is about to be a joke of a series. And the Pacers, man, like I said, I'm just very, very impressed with the Pacers' performance tonight. That's
We actually have
other than the Celtics, obviously.
I hear you. We actually have an amazing clip that was just sent in from one of our fans that I want to pull up here. Here we go. This right here, sent in from one of our fans. Look at what we have here. Oh, who is that? That's Big Willie.
Oh my God. Obviously, that's right after the Jaylen Brown 3-point shot in the corner with 5 seconds left to go. There's a couple takes of this, some longer versions of it, in which I'm pacing around the room. There's different angles to it. So shout out to one of our number one fans. I think you guys can guess who it was that took that photo, or took that video, I should say. But yeah, that was my emotions riding that roller coaster I was talking about.
Dude, I had to go into my own space. So I watched the fourth quarter in my like podcast and recording area, aka my guest room. And I had to get away. I had to be by myself. Yeah, multi-purpose room. Also the laundry room, as there's laundry directly to my left here.
Multi.
But I had to get away because I was so stressed out. I'm like sweating through the shirt right now. If I was wearing white, you would just see nothing but sweat marks in my armpits. But I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about all the big moments here. We've kind of had our initial reaction. I want to pull up some comments that we've kind of shown on the screen, but we haven't necessarily called out. We called out Jacob. Shout out Jacob. We had a comment from Max Dunham. He said, big win. I know it's not the statement win we wanted, but we showed a lot of resilience. Definitely want to touch on the Celtics resilience in this game. We also have a comment from Rob version 1. He said, clutch shot by JB. He deserves cake after this game, or flowers. Props to Drew for stepping up in the fourth quarter, and to JT for the OT. Lots to clean up, and I hope we finally win a game 2. Need better execution. Good game. We also had a comment from our guy, Fred. Fred said, this might be the best case scenario. Win a clutch game, motivated to not come out flat in game 2. And yeah, man. And oh man, Jacob with the $20 tip, my guy. That is too generous. Thank you so much.
And please listen to Jacob. All y'all in the live chat, don't forget to like the vid and subscribe to Green with Envy. Let's go. Season 4, Jacob. You're on a high, and I feel you, man. I feel you. I don't know if I walked away.
Jacob, no more tips. But... keep your money. No more tips. Keep your money. No more tips. Keep your money. Enjoy that. Parlay that into betting on the Celtics game too. But where do you want to start, Will? With one of those comments. Pick a comment. We can talk about the resiliency. We can talk about JB. We can talk about best case scenario. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the resiliency, because I think that's important, because I think, there's been mention of this team being resilient. Like, this resiliency is part of the, the DNA of this team. Like, I do think for all the faults that this team can have at different times, they are pretty resilient, even if sometimes it's game to game. Like, this was within the game that we saw resiliency. And I talked about, getting off to that hot start. Indiana came back swinging, fought that. Obi Toppin went off in the first quarter. You got
Miles Turner going crazy.
Miles Turner going crazy in the first half. And so, the Celtics, and this is kind of what, when we were talking about the preview with Kari, I did predict Celtics in 5. I didn't think it'd be an easy 5. And that's part of what I kind of like about this series, is that Indiana is going to keep the Celtics on their toes at all times. I think it was late in the third quarter. I texted you and our guys, Mark and Chris, who are one of our like main Celtics chats, and I was like, there was one pass specifically from Jason Tatum. Celtics were up in like 91, 82, somewhere in that range. Makes kind of a lazy, underhanded, push ahead pass, and it was like, I see the telltale signs of where the Celtics get a little complacent. And the Pacers aren't going to allow for that shit. The Pacers are going to see that. They're going to sniff blood. And then and they came right back. They ended up 94-93 by the time the third quarter ended, heading into the fourth. And that included, of course, Tyrese Halliburton hitting one of his two ridiculous, close the quarter shots, which we were both nervous as hell for towards the end of the game. But, the Celtics faced adversity. And this is real adversity from a team that, is not quite up to their level talent-wise, but they're not far off. This is a little bit like this has the potential to be like some of those Miami series. It's not the same DNA as that Miami team, obviously. They have a very different, we all know heat culture, yada yada. But this team has a lot of talented players, and they play really well together. And 1 through, really 8, 9, they play really well together. And you can see the cohesion with this team, and Siakam's fit in kind of perfectly. And we can talk about what went right and what went wrong with the matchups with Pascal Siakam. But to the Celtics' credit, they kept finding a way to come back. And even when it looked all lost, the Celtics kind of became the team that put in the extra effort, which is eventually what gave them 3 chances to tie this game and then get it to overtime. So the Celtics found different ways to be resilient within this game. And I think that's really important for them to really finally get a playoff feel. This is the first time it's been a playoff feel in a game for the Celtics this postseason. So this is a big time win. No matter how you get there, this was a big time win for them.
So I agree with everything you just said. I have a text message from Matt Manning, my college roommate, who says I need to call him right now because I think he's with somebody and he wants to like talk live on the pod. So I'm going to call him real quick and just see what the heck happens here.
All right. We're doing this live on the podcast. Let's see what happens here. We have no idea who
Hello, Green with Envy.
What's up, Matty boy?
Hello. I have 2 things. One of them surprising, one of them unsurprising. I'll start with the unsurprising. So, you guys may or may not know this, but the Boston good luck charm in a close or tight situation is for Matt Manning to shut off the TV and enter another room and not be a part of it. When Javon Curse or whatever his name was caught the ball off Malcolm Butler's back, I wasn't in the room for the final play for Malcolm Butler.
Seahawks Super Bowl reference. Got it.
So thus, the 2014 Super Bowl would not have happened had I not been sitting in the kitchen. In this scenario, I shut off the TV when Tatum missed that bunny under the basket, and it was 114-117. So, and then shut off the TV and ripped off my shirt and left and went to the other room to go to the bathroom and get myself fixed up. And then I checked my phone to just humor myself to see if they had tied it. They tied it 117-117 overtime. I didn't even bother turning the TV back on. I sat in the kitchen and I read my notes to myself preparing for my baby, which I figured would be a good luck charm. If I'm putting in the work, maybe the Celtics will put in the work too. So I have to watch the replay because I honestly have no idea what happened. And I don't want you to tell me. I don't know who hit the shot to be 117-117. And I don't know what happened in overtime. I'm excited to find out what this outcome was.
Well, Matt, thank you so much. I'm going to get back to my show. I really appreciate you calling in. You're more than welcome to tune into the YouTube stream that we're doing right now or on Twitter. So you can tune in and we can talk you through all the stuff that happened at the end of the game.
Thing, Greg, and then I'm going to let you get back to it.
All right. One more thing.
Mia Jocelyn Manning was born on Sunday. She came in the world a little bit early for us at 34 weeks.
Hey,
she's doing very wonderfully. She's doing wonderfully. But 34 weeks for Paul Pierce and David Ortiz.
Yeah.
Call me later. I'll give you all the details, my friend.
Hey, brother. Congratulations. That's amazing. Appreciate you making this announcement live on our show.
I want Celtics Nation to know that she is a game one winner and a lifelong
right.
winner. Love you guys.
Love you too, brother. Peace.
All
That
right,
was
well, hey,
amazing.
you tune into a live stream. You never know what's gonna happen. We
I don't
get
know where to go. Shout out to Matt for baby being born.
team players, babies being born at the right time.
Wow.
Yeah, shout out to Matt. That was great. I'm glad you took that call. That worked out really, really well.
So we were talking about resiliency though, right?
Yeah, so
So
you had I gave my spiel. Give me
Yeah.
what you got.
So I just want to talk about some moments of resiliency throughout this game because there were multiple times in our group message where we all were just like, all hope is lost. There's no way the Celtics are going to come back. We feel like Halliburton's going to hit all the big shots. And when you really think about it, Halliburton kind of played like shit down the stretch.
Yeah.
Multiple turnovers. Drew
Holiday.
with that.
Drew, first of all, we'll talk about Drew. Drew was fantastic tonight.
This was that game. This was that game that we've been talking about.
Been talking about it.
This was the game we've been talking about where Drew Holiday needed to step up, where we made that we posted something early in the playoffs talking about how Drew needed to step up, and we got a bunch of hate from people saying, "Oh no, Drew's just playing defense." Like, yeah, Drew's playing defense, but Drew Holiday can do this, and this is what we need out of Drew Holiday. Derek White's been awesome for this team. There's a reason why Drew Holiday is the guy that's on the Olympic team and not Derek White, right? Drew Holiday is this type of player where he can really step up in big moments. And it was great to see that from him. Great to see that resiliency from him. But I think Jaylen Brown, to kind of also touch on that comment that was made about JB and deserving his cake, deserving his flowers, deserving whatever Jaylen Brown deserves at this moment. He was so good on both ends of the court. He had a couple silly turnovers. Everyone had a couple silly turnovers tonight, but I thought his defense throughout the game was great. I was screaming at my television for Joe Mazzulla to put Jaylen Brown on Pascal Siakam after Jaylen is just the Pascal. He puts Pascal in prison every time they play against each other, dating back to the bubble. And he didn't guard him until one of the most important possessions of the game where he got the strip and the steal to pretty much seal the game. But I was screaming at the TV, like, why are we leaving Al Horford on Siakam? He had a couple nice blocks on Siakam, but there was a reason why they kept hunting Al Horford and kept going to that two-man game. And they probably would have just brought Horford into the action anyway, right? So, but I would rather JB have that assignment on Siakam, which means Horford probably would have had the Nesmith assignment, which I'd be okay with. But I want to talk about Jaylen Brown, that amazing steal, obviously the biggest shot of the game with the game tying three-pointer. He also had the deflection that allowed us to have that opportunity to shoot the three-pointer. So Jaylen was just all over the court. I think he ended up with, was it 3 steals and a block?
3 steals and a block. I mean, all around game from JB, 26 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals and a block. Jaylen was great tonight. 5 of 8 from the free throw line, got to the line 8 times. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when things and he had a few moments I think this is kind of where you're going with resilience, because he had a few moments where he didn't have some great possessions. I think maybe 3-4 minutes in the fourth quarter, excuse me. There was a few bad Jaylen Brown possessions, just maybe a little over dribbling. Eventually he goes to the rim, gets the foul where it looks like he hurts his head, and from that point on, he turns it up with the defensive end, makes the hustle play, because that's, to me, that was even bigger than the shot. I think might have been the hustle play, because he comes flying out of, watching the TV screen, he wasn't even in the picture. And then you just see him like a bat out of hell and it's the last effort. Like, I thought the game was already over at that point. That was, to what Matt had said, we missed the layups. We missed multiple layups, in the fourth quarter. JB, who was so good all night with that kind of pump fake and then the double step through to get that shot
3 times tonight.
I know, but he missed the last one. That's he missed the last one in that fourth quarter, and that move was great. He was really great with it. He misses that. Al gets the board. He misses it. We have another missed layup. Like, there was so many things that were just building up, and for Jaylen to kind of just dig in and say, fuck it, I'm not giving up on this game. Like, if that was a game where it felt like the Celtics could have given up easy, just foul, hope they miss some free throws, we'll see what happens. And that just impressed the hell out of me with JB coming flying in for that deflection, even more than that 3-point shot, which was equally amazing, in the corner.
Yeah, and he wasn't great from the line, 5 for 8, but he hit his last 2, which were really important in the fourth quarter, just to kind of keep us close there. I think that was off of the rebound, right? Was that in overtime?
Yeah.
Or no, that was in the fourth quarter. I think
the fourth quarter, yeah.
Celtics were down maybe 4 at that point, where Siakam grabbed him on the rebound. Jalen was just awesome tonight. I was so proud of him. There was that one moment I tweeted out, I think it was early, maybe mid third quarter or so, where the Celtics were kind of rolling at this point, and Jaylen Brown had an opportunity up the left wing where he could have attacked in transition one-on-one against Siakam. He slows the ball up at the 3-point line, calls Drew Holiday into the action as Halliburton was covering him. So they go empty side 2-man game. They have to double team Jalen, and then Drew pops out to the 3-pointer. He kicks it out to Drew for a 3. Next possession, same action. Jaylen Brown has an opportunity to go ISO, calls Drew Holiday into the action. Halliburton's trying to high hedge, right? And the moment Halliburton steps to high hedge and then back to recover, Drew Holiday slips out of it, backdoor, wide open layup. And then Jalen had a turnover on the very next play. But those
like
two
said, this
plays,
was a roller coaster of a game. This was a roller coaster of a game. There's no doubt about it.
yeah, but those two plays were just like such a great example of Jaylen Brown just understanding time and score and understanding matchups and what they're trying to game plan discipline. We always talk about, like, they want to hunt Tyrese Halliburton. Those moments were huge for him. Then he had another moment. I can't remember. It was either in the fourth quarter or overtime where he had another opportunity. I think it was overtime. Celtics had a lead and he got the ball on the right wing and he could have attacked Miles Turner with probably like 20 seconds in the shot clock. He decides, you know what? We need to run clock right now. He pulls it out.
Yeah.
Another great play.
That ended up in what could have been the most disastrous Tatum pass of all time. I'm pretty sure that's because I remember, because there was part of me that, like, it was in that weird spot where I was glad that JB pulled it out. But then also, and this is something that I want to talk to you about, is the Celtics pace. Now, this was probably late enough in the game that this was the right call, and just I don't know what the hell that pass was from Tatum. And I know, see, our guy Fred up here had a comment, but Tatum needed this win because that late turnover, in quotation marks, to Drew would have been mentioned in every talking show. And you're right, it would have been like, that was literally a bunch of WTFs went up at the same time in our group chat. And, Greg, I'm curious to get your opinion on the Celtics pace tonight, because they came out hot, locked in on D, hands everywhere, go up 12-0. They're running, they're getting the type of shots at the rim and 3-pointers that really make this Missoula ball, make this Celtics basketball. And then you started to see it, not that it fully went away, but it just ebbed and flowed a lot throughout the game. And so I'm curious to know what your thoughts were as you saw that, okay, we have this in us, but then it would go away and then it'd come back and then it'd go away. What was kind of your thoughts on that tonight?
Well, it's kind of a catch-22 when you're playing a high pace with the Pacers, because you're playing into their hands, right? It allows us to get a lot of good looks, but that's where the Pacers thrive. So you almost want to drag them into the mud a little bit, which is what the Celtics did in the third quarter when we went to that zone. I thought that zone was really effective. Yeah, the really effective adjustment by Missoula going to the zone, because it took them out of all of the reads that they were getting accustomed to. It was nice to have a curveball, as Joe Mazzulla said in the preseason.
It allowed Luke to play too, right? Like, because we were texting at halftime that we're like, man, Sam had a really rough game tonight as well, but it looked like Luke and Sam were like having them out there, especially both at the same time, which, the bench units for this team have been really good. It was troublesome in that first half, and going to that zone allowed for us to get some really good Luke Cornett minutes in that third quarter.
Yeah, and we really did, like, kind of punish the Pacers. We shot 30 free throws to their 10. We were plus 15 at the free throw line tonight. We were plus 6 at the 3-point line, but we shot 10 more 3-pointers. So we're still getting 3-point shots up, and I thought we got a decent amount of good looks shooting from 3. I didn't feel like we were over hunting the 3. I thought Tatum took a couple that I probably wouldn't have taken. Horford, they're letting him shoot him, so I get it. You gotta
take it. Yeah,
you gotta take it. But 12 threes out of Horford, I don't know if I want Horford shooting 12 threes a game. But overall, I thought that the Celtics pace was good. In the first half, I thought we played into the Pacers' hands a little bit too much, but that's what the Pacers do, man. They make you play their form of basketball, their brand of basketball, and they make you execute for 48 minutes and for 24 seconds on both ends of the court. So it's going to be a really good test for the Celtics throughout this series. I thought tonight was an unbelievable game one test for them because I thought we were just going to smoke the Pacers in game one just because they were coming off of game 7 and we had all that rest. But it was really good to see the Celtics take a couple punches tonight and come out victorious because we were on the mat. We were really on the mat and we got up, Tyson Fury. I know he lost this weekend, but Tyson Fury style after he got knocked out by Deontay Wilder and just got up like that freaking Undertaker. That's what the Celtics did in the fourth quarter. So if you're a Pacers fan, you got to feel like shit, right? You got to be like, damn, Halliburton didn't step up in the fourth quarter. What the heck was Neesmith doing? Like fouling all the time. Why did he have to foul out? Miles Turner, what happened to you in the second half? All
3
these
points in the
things.
second half after going bananas for Miles Turner. And I'm just looking at the Pacers stat sheet, man. It's they've got, I think, 7 guys that were in double digits tonight. Like, for coming off of game 7, once again, very impressed with the Pacers, but for a young team that is, undermanned talent-wise, not health-wise, like we've seen in some of these other series, but talent-wise, even though they're closer to the Celtics than I think what we've seen the last 2 rounds, like they had to have this game as close as it got.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Dude, the math in this game is crazy. So both teams shot 99 field goal attempts tonight.
Mm-hmm.
We shot 10 more 3-pointers and we shot 20 more free throws.
Right. It's crazy. Like, it doesn't even. How did this get to overtime? How was this a close game? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
We should, those numbers alone say the Celtics should have won by 20 points.
We also won the turnover battle by 7.
Sheesh. What the heck happened?
Like, it's I guess they just
they shot 53% to us shooting 47%. We shot 33% from 3. They shot 37% from 3. But
yeah,
still
with the free throw line disparity, with the turnovers, like you would think that this game wouldn't have resulted in overtime, and honestly, what probably should have been a Pacers win, right? Like it doesn't add up. I thought about this at one point towards the end of the game, like, man, we're killing it from the free throw line. We're up on the 3-point line. Like it's really hard to fathom, but I don't know. Someone who's better at math needs to explain to me because it doesn't feel like it adds up. It doesn't feel like it adds up.
Yeah. Okay. But let's talk a little bit more about the Pacers and because we both predicted Celtics in 5. After watching tonight, do you still feel good about Celtics in 5, or do you got to give the Pacers a little bit more credit?
No, I still feel good about Celtics in 5 because I think the reason that I chose Celtics in 5 is because as much as the Celtics play down to their competition, they play up to their competition as well. And I think the Pacers they're going to get one because you saw tonight the pace that they play at, the style they play at, some of the mismatches, like the Horford hunting is going to be an issue. If Luke's out there, that's going to be an issue. Now, the zone was a great call tonight. Will they be able to then have a counter now that they've seen it? We'll have to find out. Will Joe go to O'Shea if they have that counter? I don't know. It feels like he doesn't really want to play O'Shea Brissett, but time will tell. So I think the Pacers are without a doubt getting one just on their style of play. They start to knock down threes. Maybe the math makes a little bit more sense in one of these games, but because I think anytime the Celtics are up 10 or 12, they're not going to be able to go into coast mode. The Pacers will not allow for there to be a coast mode for this Celtics team. I think at some point in at least one game, the Pacers' pace and shooting is going to be overwhelming and they'll get a game. But I think because the Celtics are going to know that they can't go into this, let's walk the ball up, let's get into these, like the biggest frustration that I think I have and a lot of people have as Celtics fans is, it's not always Tatum, but Tatum gets the ball with 12 seconds left. It's just him on a guy with, 5 feet behind the 3-point line. He just keeps dribbling the ball until there's 7, 6, 5 seconds left and he hasn't moved an inch and no one else has moved around him. And I'm like, I hate these possessions, and those are the type of possessions that get us in trouble. Like I think the Celtics are going to have 1 or 2 of those and be like, all right, we got to change this up. This is not going to work versus this team. This team is going to make them play closer to a consistent brand of Celtics basketball than we've seen in the past. So that's why I would still stick with Celtics in 5. And I think you saw a lot of that play out, even though it ended up being somewhat miraculous towards the end.
Yeah, and looking at the breakdown, and Connor, we did talk about Drew, but we didn't really probably flesh that out as much as we probably
Yeah,
could
let's talk
have.
a little bit
So
more
we
about
we
Drew because
talk a
he
little bit
deserves
more
it.
about Drew.
This was the Drew game, and just to set you up here, Greg, just to give Drew's full stat line here: 10 of 16 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 4 of 4 from the line, has 28 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 steals. Just the Drew Holiday performance as a Celtic so far.
Yeah, I think all the announcers were pretty surprised when he had his Celtic high tonight of regular season or postseason. This is the most point he has scored. Still doesn't have a 30-point game with the Boston Celtics, but this was really nice. I'll take 28 all day, every day out of Drew Holiday. And it's the confidence with which he's playing, where early in the postseason, we talked about this at length on the pod, where he just didn't look confident. Even at the rim, he was like not able to take Tyler Hero into the post. He was struggling to finish bunnies. He airballed a couple layups, and it just looked like he was nervous playing in the playoffs with the expectation that we need to win this championship, and he's such a big part of it. It felt like he was feeling the pressure, and at some point they unlocked Drew Holiday and said, we need to empower Drew. He can't just be a guy that stands in the corner and shoots 7 shots a game. You know, he needs to be a little bit more involved in the offense, especially as you were just harping on all after KP's injury. Once KP went down, Drew Holiday needed to step up, and I think it took him a couple of games to realize how he needed to step up and how aggressive he needed to be. And tonight was a great example. The culmination of the last couple of weeks of Drew Holiday was tonight, where he was fully empowered. He was fully confident in his shot. He was taking people into the post. He was playmaking for other people. He was the best defender on the court. Him and Jaylen Brown were probably arguing for that all night. Jaylen Brown maybe making a statement as his 2 buddies made the all defensive team, and he did not. I think he had something to prove tonight, but Drew Holiday, he had some of the biggest moments on the court tonight. And the biggest moment, obviously, was that forced turnover on Halliburton, where he just pressured the hell
and that
out of
doesn't show up in
Halliburton
the box score, right? That's not technically a steal. It's not technically a block, but that was probably the biggest play of the game. And Greg, let me just read you in the fourth quarter here, talking about how big Drew Holiday was. Jaylen Brown, the fourth quarter, 1 of 4. We know what that one was. That one was goddamn massive in the corner, but 1 of 4 from Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum, 2 of 7. Al Horford, 1 for 3. Derek White, 1 for 4. Drew Holiday, 4 for 5, 8 points, leads the Celtics in scoring in that fourth quarter. Drew Holiday, as the Pacers were gaining that momentum and that separation, he was the one that kept the Celtics attached to even allow for them to get those multiple opportunities. And once again, I can't stress enough how funny it was, how many opportunities they got from Nesmith, whatever the hell Nesmith did on that play where he ends up out of bounds, just kind of coming flying on the sidelines. You know, there was the missed layups, then JB makes the hustle play, but all of that is made possible from Drew Holiday's big night and him keeping the Celtics attached in those moments when the Pacers could have put this game from, 3-6 or 6-9 or 4-7, where we ran out of time and there was no more time left to have any chances. So yeah, just a massive, massive game from Drew Holiday. Have been preaching all year that this was going to be necessary. Came through with that tonight. Greg, you want to talk a little bit about Jason Tatum?
We need
or do
to.
you have more? Yeah, we need to. So
we need to talk about JT.
So let's talk about JT. So here's JT's stat line for the night for those of you tuning in here. 36 points. So this. I think this qualifies as back in the day a dirty 30 for Jason Tatum tonight. 36 points, 12 of 26 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. He does get to the line 12 times, which is essential in those dirty 30s that I've mentioned here before on the show. 10 of 12 from the free throw line, has 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. And, Greg, honestly, I really thought that the first 3 quarters, I just mentioned the 2 for 7 from Tatum in that fourth quarter, but I thought the first 3 quarters from Tatum, we got a really good Tatum performance. In the fourth and overtime, it got a little bit rocky. What'd you make of Tatum's performance tonight?
Before I talk about Tatum, what was that? There was like a little thumbs up that just ended up on the screen. Was that reading your thumb?
Oh, I don't know. I
You didn't
was
see
looking
that?
at the box score, so I didn't see it.
Oh no, like a little thumbs up bubble popped up. I don't know if that was coming from
It might be
YouTube
from
or
the chat. Yeah, from the chat,
okay,
I
okay,
think
okay.
potentially.
Because
So
you were like doing a little thumbs up, and I thought that maybe it was like, you know how in like Zoom meetings you can do that. But anyways, Jason Tatum, that's my ADD brain, guys. Sorry. Jason Tatum was struggling in the fourth quarter tonight. What did you say? He was 2 for 7, Will, in the
two
fourth
for
quarter?
seven, yeah, in the fourth quarter. Yep.
Ended up 2 for 4 in OT, hit that big 3-pointer, had the big and one. So I think I ended up with 6 points in overtime. Maybe even more than that with more free throws. He might have 8 points in overtime. But I think with
10
Tatum,
points.
10 points. Okay.
Yeah.
So with Tatum, the biggest thing with him, man, is that like he hasn't had a clutch moment since I don't know when, man. When was the last clutch 3-pointer in like crunch time Jason Tatum had? And you watch these other teams that are
Game 6,
playing,
Philadelphia last season.
like maybe, honestly. And you're like watching all these other guys around the league, and it's just so easy for them to score. Like it feels like Shea can just score whenever he wants. Luka can score whenever he wants. Jalen Brunson can score whenever he wants. And with Tatum, it's just like, man, he just needs one of these things to drop because it's been so long since he's like been on a heater in crunch time. And maybe that's not true. Maybe the numbers don't, say differently. I don't think they do. I haven't looked at his fourth quarter crunch time numbers in a little bit, but from what I've watched, and we watch every single game, every single minute, he's been struggling in the fourth quarter, and it feels like he just needed something to go down. And when he missed that bunny right before he got the and one, that's when we were just like, God, Tatum, like Jesus Christ, dude, you have to
And I
just
think it was
make the
it in the
layup.
he got the wide open three because he took a really bad
Yes.
three early on in the fourth, and I think it was as the Celtics were trying to get the game tied, he had a wide open
Yeah.
three because Neesmith gambled,
When we were
and
down 3.
and once that didn't go in, that was another moment where I was like, just might not be our night. This
Yeah.
might be the Pacers stealing this
Might not
game.
be
Like,
our night. Maybe this isn't Tatum's year. Maybe it's not Tatum's game. All these things we're thinking about, and we're just like kind of believing the media narrative that maybe Tatum's really not that guy. And then he steps up in the biggest moment, gets the and one, has a monster overtime and shows that he's still the best player in this series, but he needs to play like he's the best player in the series for the Celtics to win, right?
yeah,
I think you could make the argument the Celtics have the 2 best players in this series in Tatum and Brown. Halliburton can any game, any moment can take over. We've seen that out of Halliburton. But if you if you really try and put yourself in the shoes of an Indiana Pacers fan and you think about the way Halliburton played down the stretch, and you like switch that to the Celtics, if Tatum made all the same mistakes that Halliburton made, you'd be like, what the fuck? This guy sucks. Like, why can't he get it done in crunch time? But we don't have that the history with Halliburton failing in a crunch time yet for us to really see that narrative, right? With Tatum, everybody talks about his failures, so we just keep wanting that confirmation bias that he's going to fail when it matters. And tonight, I think it was important for him to succeed in the biggest moments. He got bailed out by Jaylen Brown hitting that 3-pointer, but hey, Anthony Edwards got bailed out by his entire team in Game 7 against the Nuggets, where Ant didn't step up and he trusted his teammates. They made the right plays. Same argument here.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the thing is, like I said, Tatum was really was pretty good the first 3 quarters, right?
He
And I
was.
think
He had a great game. He had a great
he
game.
did. And one of the and this is why this game was so great, because once again, I felt like it was a real playoff game. The first 2 rounds have not felt like real playoff games. This felt like a real playoff game. And I go back to that 91-82 moment in the third quarter. Tatum was rolling, and Missoula opts to give Tatum his blow at that time. And Tatum, this is when Tatum was getting going down. He had 11 points in that third quarter. And there's an argument to be made. That's the step on the throat time. That's like not even, let's make this a 15-point game, going into the fourth. And so as that run was happening from the Pacers, which I could kind of feel coming on, that was a thought in my mind, is like, man, when JT is starting to get it rolling, and if this is the quarter where he's gonna be that dude. He's going to have that moment where, he feels like it's coming as easy as we've seen it in games come to Luka or come to Anthony Edwards or SGA in this postseason. Maybe Joe just got to let that roll sometimes. That's one of the potential adjustments, but, obviously ended up working out.
So in the last series, Tatum played like the first 15 minutes of every game. It seemed like the rotation changed where he came out at the 2 to 3 minute mark of both the first and third quarter.
Yep.
I think what Mazzulla was doing was minute matching with Halliburton. I think that's Halliburton's normal sub time. I know in the first quarter it was. I can't remember if Halliburton was on the court for the comeback in the third quarter. I don't think he was. I feel like that was done with the bench and Halliburton on the bench. So I think that's what Mazzulla was doing, was minute matching Tatum with Halliburton. So it would be interesting to see in game 2 if he continues to do that, if that was the strategy that I'm thinking it was. Because throughout the year, Joe has minute match Tatum with other team stars. So
yeah,
just
that's a
something to
good
keep
point.
an
That's a
eye
good
on.
point. So definitely could have been that. But yeah, I mean, for Tatum, like you said, getting the big and one and then hitting that 3, especially the 3, because at a certain point you mentioned, like, Brunson just went up against this team. Nembhard guarded Tatum. I don't think he guarded most of the game, but most of the fourth, it was Nembhard who was guarding Tatum. And all I could think about in my head was Brunson just torched this dude for 7 games, like destroyed him. And Carlisle, stuck to his guns, and like eventually he put Neesmith on him. But anytime Brunson got Nembhard back on him, it was just barbecue chicken. And Tatum's got 7 inches on Jalen Brunson, or 6 inches, whatever it is, plus all this skill that goes along with it. And I'm in my head, like you said, I was starting to play out the narratives. I'm like, if we leave this fourth quarter and Nembhard is D'ing up Jason Tatum in the fourth quarter, and we juxtapose that with what just happened, where everyone was screaming for Rick Carlisle to get Nembhard off of Jalen Brunson, like, maybe this is a problem. like that's kind of where it was at for a moment there. And ultimately he was able to make some shot, make some plays, 10 points in OT. Like, that shows you a lot right there. And to the point that we're coming all the way back to with resiliency, Tatum has shown resilience in games before. We referenced back to when was the last time he hit a big 3, and I joked that it was game 6, but we talk about the first 3 quarters of that game were so abominable. And then he came and did what he did in the fourth quarter, 4 threes, 16 points. You all know the rest. And so this is something that we know Tatum can bounce back from. So that's part of Jason Tatum's stories, along with some of the struggles, is that the struggles exist, but let's not forget that he does have the moments where he comes through to go along with it.
Yeah, I'm just so relieved, man. I really didn't want to come on this pod after the Celtics blowing game 1. So I think the listeners got a much more enjoyable experience. As our guy Jacob, tipping us $25 on the stream. I know he signed off, but shout out to Jacob. Honestly, man, that was truly appreciated.
I got one other thing I want to ask.
Okay,
you
yeah.
Here, Greg. So, we briefly skimmed over this, but the Pacers hunted Al Horford, especially in the second half. Really, all throughout the game, they kind of hunted Al Horford.
Yep.
What's the counter to that? Because also, obviously, in the first half, we said Luke Cornett was an issue. They went to that zone, allowed Luke to be able to get some minutes, kind of threw the Pacers off for a bit. I don't expect the Celtics to go into a bunch of zone for extended periods. I'm sure they'll continue to mix it in. But, Horford started on Turner. Turner got red hot. Got on to Siakam. Siakam was abusing him in the mid-range. They then kind of went back to Turner, Horford onto Turner after, finally making the change to get him off of Siakam because he was getting cooked. What do you see that looking like going forward as far as the defensive matchups? Because you were totally right. But I would give you your credit. You were totally right. Celtics started out pretty, normal matchup-wise and then tried to make some adjustments from there.
Well, if you're switching everything as the Celtics are doing, the whole point of that is you're trying to pick your poison, right? And the Celtics' poison that they're choosing is that they're going to live with Al Horford guarding in isolation because they trust his ability to move his feet, contest high without fouling, and block some shots, as he did. He had some big blocks in this game.
Big block against Nembhard late in the game.
Exactly. Blocked Siakam a couple of times. So Horford does have these moments. And what you're not doing by switching everything, ideally, is you're not getting your defense in rotation and you're not creating open 3-point shots, right? Where the Celtics won the math game. We shot 45 threes to the Pacers 35. We didn't allow Miles Turner to just shoot walk-in 3-pointers to the top of the key because we were switching everything and we weren't having Horford in drop. The moment you put Horford in drop, that allows that open, 3-pointer off the pick and pop to happen. They did go drop a couple of times, but it just wasn't really working that well, which is why I think their next adjustment was to go to that zone defense, because they needed to shut off the isolation attack. They needed to shut off the pick and roll attack. They didn't want to just sit there and switch everything the entire game, but drop wasn't working. So what's their next curveball that they have? They went to that zone, which I thought was a real problem for that second unit of the Pacers until it wasn't a problem anymore. But
Right.
I think, both teams will go back and they'll watch tape. I would really like to see Missoula experiment with O'Shea Brissett. I really would.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We should just stop talking about it. But I really would like to see that, especially going up against his old team where he understands the way that they play and he thrives in that chaos. So
here's where I kind of think I'm at with like with wanting to see Brissett. I think it should be in the Sam spot. And this is something that we might have got wrong in our preview where we said I don't think the Pacers really have a way to take us out of our normal rotation to play guys off the floor. It seemed like that was something that we might have got wrong in our preview based on
one game.
what we saw. It's one game. I'm just saying, but to look forward, as far as we look forward in this series, and to me, it was potentially in that Sam spot where if you're not going to be able to generate, some looks for him, his gravity's not going to have, the same benefits that you would normally see from it, then maybe
the Pacers will switch
spot.
everything as well. So if the Pacers are also switch everything and they're kind of doing the same thing the Celtics are doing on the defensive side of the ball, Sam isn't going to get those open looks because they're taking that away by switching everything. So I do think, to your point, it would be interesting to see if we decide to go to O'Shea Brissett just because of that. I don't think Svi is the answer.
No.
So it's got to be Brissett. It's not going to be Jordan Walsh. It's not going to be Jaden Springer. Tillman doesn't necessarily have the offensive bag to do anything with that. He might be able to hang defensively, but I haven't seen enough out of Tillman. By the way, condolences to Xavier Tillman. It's awful seeing him lose his father. So hopefully he's back with the team at some point, but he's got to be with his family right now. That's absolutely heartbreaking to hear. But I'd like to see Brissett get a chance. He just caught. I think he'll have some moments where, especially in this series, where I think his athleticism and his offensive rebounding and his ability to switch and actually guard will come into play, because it's not like the Pacers have a big lineup. Their biggest backup big is Jackson. They don't really play Smith. So Jackson 6'8", 6'9".
He only played 4 minutes, a little less than 4 minutes.
He played well too, man.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't get more run. That they basically just went with Obi and Miles, who are obviously having great games. So I kind of get it, but it felt like in the little bit that Isaiah Jackson was in there, doesn't really have the stats to show it other than a block, but it felt like he was impactful, at least just like, for what was happening, the context of what was happening while he was out there.
Yeah, but that's definitely something to look forward to game 2, what adjustments they make. Super excited for game 2. I feel like, to Fred's comment earlier, like the Celtics probably should have lost this game. So best case scenario here, they're not going to come out flat in game 2 because they probably should have lost game 1. So they already know the adjustments they need to make game 2, but they should be able to take care of business in game 2.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Game 2 has been the house of horrors. I mean, obviously we haven't had game 1s that have, been played out in this manner. So it's going to be hard to say there shouldn't be a letdown in the same way that's like, we just waxed that team. But, we're in the playoffs now. We're officially in the playoffs, Greg.
I'm sweating through these games again.
Which, it's going to have its ups and downs. But at the end, like, it makes it all that more satisfying when you get those Jaylen Brown moments, when you get the, Jason Tatum finally coming through, Drew Holiday causing havoc on the defensive end, creating turnovers for Tyrese Halliburton. So we got ourselves a series. I think this is going to be a fun one. I'm sticking with Celtics in 5. Last thing, Greg, I know you briefly mentioned this. We had the all defensive team come out. Both Drew Holiday and Derek White get second team all defensive nods. JB, Said it was his goal this year to make it. Didn't quite make it. Did make the long list of those that got votes. I believe he had
along with
3.
Domantas Sabonis.
Yeah, that's just I don't really know what's happening there. That's a Jalen Rose situation. But anyways, Jaylen Brown gets 3 first place votes and I believe 1 second team vote. So in the mix, and Tatum got one got 1 vote as well. But did you think that the second team made sense for Derek White and Drew Holiday? Basically, the way it played out was the first team was all bigs plus Herb Jones, and then the second team was, I think, all guards pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's the way it's going to be when there's not going to be positions. Big men are more impactful, especially with all the advanced metrics. I was interested that Herb Jones was the guy that got the nod. I know he's great defender. I'm partial to Jaden McDaniels. I think McDaniels is the best.
Yeah, he was the one wing on the second team. It was 4 guards and Jaden McDaniels. So 1 wing with all the bigs, 1 wing with all the guards. Kind of funny how that all happened to play out. And Holiday just snuck on in that last spot there, but right over Lou Dort, who would have been the other wing that potentially could have made it. But nice little paydays for Drew Holiday and Derek White going forward. So shout out to the stock exchange for getting it done, getting a little postseason award love here for the Celtics. Anything else you got, Greg, here as we look ahead to game 2?
So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I'm gonna play a new outro as we come out here. So my band, just quick band plug, Black Sheep Optimist, we're releasing a new song. Should be about a month from now. We're aiming for the first day of summer, a song called Feels Like Summer. So if you're tuning into all the YouTube streams, you're going to get a sneak peek at the first 30 seconds or so of this song as some Celtics highlights play instead of our last release, which was called Get This High, that had the little music video with the clips. So this one's called Feels Like Summer. So whenever you want to send us off, you're sending people off with Feels Like Summer. For those of you listening on the pod, you're going to continue to hear some unreleased stuff from Black Sheep Optimist until I decide to put that on the pod as well.
Yeah, just one quick programming note. Obviously, love you guys tuning in here. Appreciate everybody liking, subscribing, following us on all the different social media platforms. One thing you guys may have noticed that it is just me and Greg here. So just a quick programming note. Adam is actually going on to do his own thing. So if you guys are looking to find more Adam Taylor content, make sure you're following him on socials. He promotes, the Chronicles. He's still with Celtics blog. He's got other stuff out there. So if you guys are looking for Adam stuff, just stuff didn't work out with our schedules any longer. And so it's all good. But if you are looking for Adam content, please go to his socials and you can find it there. For now, we're going to send it out. Celtics up 1-0 against the Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals. Game 2 coming up Thursday night. We will be doing a live stream pre-game podcast for that one. Don't believe we're going to have a post-game pod on that one. We'll have something for you probably Friday morning that you'll then be able to tune into on YouTube later that day, and it will go up immediately on the audio stream, Spotify, Apple, wherever it is you listen to podcasts. So make sure you're joining us for the live stream on Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. We'll have that for you. And right now, we've got some Black Sheep Optimists. Celtics up 1-0. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your day. We'll catch you guys later.
It feels like summer, baby. Oh, mama, it feel like summer. New season got me seeing new colors. So fly, the sky will kiss you. Lips so smooth and miss your issues. Oh, mama, it feel like summer. New season got me seeing new colors. Oh, my, I'm slipping into white lies and time to miss you. Now you're 3 shots deep that you chase with the Croy. You're looking at me.